Sup, everybody? Hungover Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we're gonna be breaking down the new SKYE meta that is taking over pro Valorant. You see, while SKYE is seeing very little play in ranked and in NA pro scene, what many call the most competitive region in the Korean region, SKYE is seeing a ton of play and it's dramatically changing the entire meta. So we gotta break it all down so that you get ahead of the curve. And we're gonna be comparing the strengths and weaknesses of all the compositions that are seeing tons of pro play. So watch us at the end, smash that like and subscribe, but go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high quality advanced guides, tips and tricks, VOD reviews. We got so much damn content on the GameLeap website that you gotta go check it out right now down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now we're going to be comparing the compositions of Vision Strikers versus DK. By the way, Vision Strikers is like the best Korean team right now, period. And some people think they might be the best team in the world. And we're going to be directly comparing their character picks on Ascent versus 100 Thieves and Sentinels on Ascent that we just VOD reviewed as well. Plus, I'm going to be breaking down in-depth footage step by step so that you can see exactly how they use SKYE to get so much goddamn high impact. But let's jump right into it. So first off, let's break down the Vision Strikers composition. Raze, Killjoy, Omen, Sova, and SKYE. And the DK composition is Sova, Brimstone, Reyna, Jett, and SKYE. They're playing SKYE as well, but their composition is a lot different from all the other compositions. And they also got rolled, so I'm not going to go in too hard in their composition. Now, one thing that we can take note of from the Vision Strikers composition in comparison to the Sentinels and 100 Thieves composition, which for reference, Sentinels was playing Phoenix, Jett, Omen, Sova, Cypher, and 100 Thieves was playing Raze, Killjoy, Omen, Sova, Sage. All three of the teams are playing Sova, all three of the teams are playing Omen, so that's pretty streamlined from there. However, there is actually not many differences between the Vision Strikers composition and the 100 Thieves composition. If you know, there's actually only one character difference. No Sage and SKYE instead for Vision Strikers compared to 100 Thieves. Now, if you call back to the meta breakdown video I did of Sentinels versus 100 Thieves, you'll know that one of the big problems I said with the 100 Thieves' composition is they had no really powerful way to take sightlines or take space. They had a lot of powerful utility, however, they had no flashes, no easy way to take sightlines. If you remember, in order to take the cat sightline on attack, they were using a Sage Slow plus a Raze paint shells together just to take the sightline. And on top of that, they had no really strong way to overcome a numbers disadvantage. If they ever lost players, they never could take a sight without perfect coordination and all their members. And they could never brute force their way through to take sight control, unlike Sentinels who had an X factor in the Phoenix and Jett tens and sick duo, and I really think that's why 100 Thieves lost there. They made too many small mistakes and they had no power in their composition to overcome those mistakes. Now, that being said, I think replacing Sage with SKYE fundamentally fixes all the problems in their composition. Not only do you have a character that can help you take sight control, but another way to gather information, an insane space creator, and I'm going to be breaking down Vision Strikers' play so you really see what I'm talking about in a perfect example that I'm going to break down right here. So we're jumping right into this Korean match, and notice that Vision Strikers is playing on defense, and I want you to take note of how defensively some of the members are playing, specifically around their spawn side. The Sova that is mid, the Killjoy that is B, these players are playing a lot more reserved. When you not only have Sova's recon, paranoia, and SKYE flashes, retaking is extremely powerful, especially on the B site, and it's far better to make sure that you don't die for free because then you have this utility to retake with. Here's the big takeaway for you in your games. Some compositions, depending on what is just randomly selected for your ranked games, are going to be better for fighting, and some compositions are going to be better for retaking. If you have a ton of utility to stall the enemy and you have no utility for retake, it might be better for you to utilize your abilities to try to fight enemies and try to get refrags instead of trying to back off. But if you have a lot of flashes, things like Breach, things like SKYE, or some way to retake a point like a Sova, it might be far better for you to actually pull back and play for retake with your teams just so that you don't die. Now, another factor of this is which points are easier to retake, but we break that down in depth on our website, so if you want to know more, you got to go check it out down below. Now, I really want you to notice the Raze in SKYE holding a cross on A main. You see, SKYE is holding button, but she's going to use her dog for information and she's going to discover an enemy cat, and then she will also personally swing close to make sure she didn't get mistimed, just making sure that the entire close angle is actually clear and that she knows pretty much exactly where the enemies are. Now, Skye will then back off back to button and blind, which not only prevents stalling, but gives a sound identification. Unlike a breach flash, which would not give any information, Skye's true power is this. She can prevent enemies and set up retakes, but she also gets clear information about where enemies are, and she gets to know that they didn't rotate off. They are all there, and if you see on the minimap, a giant amount of the enemy team is actually all cat, and she not only knows where they are, but successfully stopped their push. Now, in that time period, Skye stopped the enemy. She's gonna turn and actually hold the cross back with Raze on A, making it possible for enemies to push A main at the same time without getting punished. And of course, they can't be pushing Cat because they just got blinded. Now, here's the thing. You can't just keep blinding that over and over again to prevent their rush. So the Omen, who actually gets to smoke, is now going to put a one-way from the cat to tree, and it's going to prevent enemies from pushing through. This is a really powerful thing that you could do as Omen in your games, where you know an enemy is there 100%. You can set up a one-way for your team, and now the enemies are just super disincentivized from actually pushing through it. And in fact, the enemies here up against Vision Strikers are going to completely back off, because Vision Strikers with basically all Skye have successfully bottlenecked the enemy team Cat and forced them to rotate off. Now, the Skye is actually going to flash A main. She's going to realize that someone is also at A main, and with the enemy backing off from Cat and the time ticking down, they all know that the enemy is most likely to take A, and they're going to reposition accordingly. Watch how the Vision Striker's Raze is actually going to go to the back of sight and is going to constantly jump peek over the box. When the enemy Skye Flash comes in, he's going to respond with a super straight up easy wall bounce paint shells. I broke this down many times when I talk about Raze in my Raze guide. When you know the enemy is full committing and they start off with the flash, you literally respond with their ability use with your ability use. And that's exactly what the Vision Striker's Raze does here, and it completely stops their rush. Gets him a free kill and splits up their Jet, who dashed in while the other parts of the enemy team had to back up. He gets to punish the Jet, and it's really simple trade-outs from there for Vision Strikers onto the enemy team. Now, I know that this was a lot of complex movement between not only just the Skye, but a lot of members of the team, from the Omen to the Raze and all that, but this was all set up by the Skye in the beginning. Skye not only got the information they needed, but allowed them to prevent rushes, hold the cross at the same time because of long distance flashes, and that information allowed them to put one-ways in place, basically preventing the enemy from making any proactive play without getting just completely destroyed. Now, if you really look at the impact and value that Skye got in this scenario that I broke down, you are going to start to ask questions to yourself like, why doesn't Skye see a lot of play? And I really think that players are just now tapping into the power level of Skye. The Korean meta has notoriously been using Breach a lot. They've been using it for a long time because Breach is a very combo-oriented character, but now they're moving to Skye more and more because I think Skye can fill a very similar role as Breach if you play her correctly, and on some maps, specifically Bind and Ascent, Skye can just be absolutely dominant, and I really do expect to see her being played more and more, and the Korean meta starting to overflow onto the rest of us, which happens a lot, and EU and NA start to play Skye a lot more, and I think after this breakdown, you know why. Now, also, when we compare directly the Vision Strikers versus the 100 Thieves composition, you realize how much a character like Skye really adds to the 100 Thieves composition. I said before that when 100 Thieves started to play Breach, I like that composition a lot better than their very passive, no-flash duelist composition, but with a Skye involved instead of a Sage, all of the weaknesses of the 100 Thieves composition are actually fixable using Skye's synergy, and I really do think that we might be seeing something like that going forward, and I would really be interested if 100 Thieves started to experiment with Skye a lot more. But definitely let me know in the comments down below what you think of Skye altogether. Do you like her as a character? Do you think that she has a lot of potential in the pro meta in NA and EU? Or do you think that only Koreans can access it because of the synergy that it takes to play the character? I, for one, think she could be a mainstay in the meta if enough people started to pick her up and started to respect the pick, but of course, metas are definitely different from region to region, so I really want to know your insight and your opinion on the entire thing. Definitely let me know in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like and subscribe, and go to the GameLeap website in the links down below for high-quality, in-depth Skye guides, tips and tricks on the meta, pro strategies, and much, much more. You got to go check it out down below right now, but thank you so much for coming by. I really hope you enjoyed the video. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach MIIILLFSS, and of course, until next time,